Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Magic Johnson. These are all some of the names that come to mind when we think about the NBA. Michael Jordan is the greatest overall player of all time. LeBron is the most well-rounded, Kareem is the greatest scorer, and Magic is the greatest playmaker. But in order to build a successful team, you need one thing for certain. The egos of the players must mesh, or else we get what is called a failed super team. Take the 03-04 Los Angeles Lakers, for example. Coming off an NBA championship team featuring Shaq and Kobe, the Lakers decided to add two more future Hall of Famers in Karl Malone and Gary Payton to shore up the team and ensure they defended their throne in the way to winning another NBA title. However, as much as that team was given crazy hype, they were quickly taken down by the Detroit Pistons in just 5 games due to their injuries and lack of chemistry. Another Lakers team around 10 years later tried to form another super team around their superstar in Kobe Bryant. This time, they featured Steve Nash, Ron Artest, Dwight Howard, and Pau Gasol. Yet again, this team was quickly derailed by injuries and a lack of chemistry. Kobe was one of the toughest players of all time, and Steve was serious about getting a ring before he hung it up. Dwight was more on the playful, jolly side, however, and was nowhere near the player he was in Orlando due to injuries, which often made him the scapegoat when the Lakers lost. But when you look at a team like the Golden State Warriors, none of the players suffer from a big ego, which is why it all works so well. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are both among some of the most humble players of all time, even though they are both two of the best shooters to ever do it. Draymond is the heart and soul of that team and was the emotional leader. None of these players care about their stats and accolades, only about winning championships, which is why it was so easy for these 3 superstars to give up parts of their roles when another MVP joined the team in Kevin Durant. Hey, what's up guys, it's Akhil from Team 3 Productions, and there's just been so many greats in NBA history that I thought we had to build the greatest 10-player team that would not only be loaded with talent, but also be able to mesh well together. Quick note before we get into building the team, less than 13% of you guys that watch our videos are even subscribed. And thank you to everyone that is subscribed, but we're really trying to grow our channel so we can keep making videos like this. So I would really appreciate if you did subscribe. We post lots of sports content like this. Also, if we can hit 23 likes on this video, then I'll do a 2K sim with this team. Other than that, let's start building the greatest team you can possibly assemble. We all know the point guard position. They have one of the most important jobs in today's NBA. They are asked to facilitate the team and handle the ball. With that being said, I think the only right pick to start off the team has to be the greatest point guard ever, in the one and only Magic Johnson. Magic played 13 years in the NBA, a short career, but was still able to earn the title of the greatest point guard of all time. These are some of Magic's career accolades on the screen. He was a 5-time NBA champion, a 3-time NBA Finals MVP, a 3-time NBA regular season MVP, and many more. Magic is also one of the greatest defenders the point guard position has ever seen, being a much taller than average point guard standing at 6 foot 9 inches. So he was a pretty easy pick to start off this team. For the shooting guard, we need somebody that can play great defense, create open looks for themselves, and handle the ball some. Nobody fits this role better than the greatest player of all time in Michael Jordan. I could literally go on all day listing his career accolades, but I don't think we have that kind of time in this video, so I'll just put a few of his achievements up on the screen, like his 6 championships and his 6 finals MVPs. I don't think I need to really explain myself with this pick, so let's just move on to the small forward spot. Now this might be a little controversial. I want my starting small forward to be the most versatile player on my team. I want him to be able to handle the ball some, post up some, score the ball some, shoot, and play defense. It may seem like the obvious pick to go with LeBron James, another top 1, 2, or 3 player of all time. However, in this scenario, we already have our facilitator in Magic Johnson. LeBron, Magic, and Jordan all need the ball in their hands in order to succeed. So, with that being said, the starting small forward spot goes to Larry Bird, also a 3-time NBA champion, a 2-time NBA Finals MVP, a 3-time regular season MVP, a 12-time All-Star, and other accolades that are on the screen. I chose Bird over LeBron because I don't think he needs the ball in his hands quite as much as LeBron does and fits better with the rest of the starting lineup. LeBron would also not be able to facilitate and get his teammates involved because that role already resides with Magic. Bird also has a much bigger repertoire of ways to put the ball in the basket than LeBron does, being a much better scorer and still a great passer. Don't get me wrong, LeBron is still the better player, however, Larry fits better with the lineup that I have, even playing on the Olympic Dream Team with MJ and Magic. For the power forward, we need somebody that is a dependent scorer close to the basket but can also score from mid-range. We want somebody starting that can play defense in the post. Somebody that can do all of the above and mesh well with this team is Tim Duncan. Mr. Fundamental is a master at, well, the fundamentals. He is known for sometimes being a boring player to watch, but as Skip Bayless describes him, he's like broccoli. One of the most boring vegetables, but not much is better for you than broccoli. Duncan is also widely regarded as the greatest power forward of all time because of his 5 NBA championships, 3 finals MVPs, 2 regular season MVPs, and so much more. He also spent his entire 19-year career with one NBA team, which is very rare to hear about. He also has a very quiet personality and has no ego, which is why he would fit great with this team. As the center, I need a big, dominant force down low. I need somebody that can block shots and rebound. I have enough scoring on the starting lineup, so for now that eliminates Kareem because he's mainly a scorer. You can say Hakeem Olajuwon, but even though he was great, he wasn't quite as dominant as the player that I chose. Another candidate that fits the mold of a strong, dominant force that I can rely on down low is Wilt Chamberlain. However, I don't think he would fit well with this team because of his mentality, caring much more about his stats than about actually winning. It is said that after every game, whether his team won or lost, the first thing that he would do is go straight to the desk and ask for the stat sheet. Wilt can really fill up the stat sheet, and I mean really fill up the stat sheet. But I want somebody that is more focused on winning, so that eliminates him for now as well. So that leaves Shaquille O'Neal, widely regarded as the most dominant force in the history of the NBA. Okay. He also won 4 NBA championships, 3 NBA Finals MVP, and he even got a regular season MVP to go along with that. He fits exactly what I was looking for to round out the starting lineup in a big, dominant force. So this is what the starting lineup looks like. Magic at the point guard, Michael Jordan at the shooting guard, Larry Bird at the small forward, Duncan at the power forward, and Shaq at the center. Now for the bench. The bench especially, even more so than the starting lineup, cannot have any egos. A real-life example would be Manu Ginobili. He was a great player and was willing to take a bench role on the Spurs as the 6th man, but was still a huge part of the Spurs dynasty. So with that being said, let's first start off with the point guard position. I want somebody off the bench that can facilitate, score, and shoot. Pistons guard Isaiah Thomas was a candidate for this role, but I view him more as a shooting guard than a point guard, and I don't think of him as somebody that would be willing to take a step back and take a smaller role. John Stockton is another selfless, pass-first point guard that was a very good defender, but still doesn't get the role. I believe that he would be willing to take a smaller role because he did just that, playing second fiddle to Karl Malone. So I could give it to him, but ultimately, I chose Steph Curry over him. Steph is also a selfless player, as we discussed during the introduction to this video. Curry is also the greatest shooter of all time and won the only unanimous MVP in NBA history, along with many other accolades shown on the screen. He even has one of the best handles of all time and a super underrated passer, but doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands at all times to succeed, which is why I decided he was the perfect fit for the backup point guard role. For now, let's skip the shooting guard and we'll come back to it in a couple minutes because it would really help explain my decision if I said who the small forward is first. The small forward was an easy pick. That's because I chose a top 1 or 2 player of all time in LeBron James. I already explained earlier why I did not start LeBron, but there was no possibility he was not going to be on the team at all. The 9 NBA Finals appearances, possibly his 10th this year, his 3 NBA championships, 3 Finals MVPs, and 4 regular seasons MVPs made it a pretty easy choice. Now this is where it gets a little controversial. For the bench shooting guard, the best player available is Kobe Bryant. However, there is no way Kobe would be willing to take a backup role to anybody, and probably not be able to mesh well with LeBron either. For that reason, I chose Dwayne Wade, because he was already a great player when he played with LeBron on the Miami Heat. Wade is also an extremely selfless player with no ego, and would be willing to take a smaller role in order to win, like he did on the Heat. Although he is not the caliber of player that Kobe is, Wade would be a much better fit for this team. With that being said, Wade is no slouch either. He is a 3-time NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, and an 8-time All-NBA player. For the backup power forward spot, I want somebody I can rely on to make their own shots efficiently. This spot came down to Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki. Garnett is the better defender by far, but Dirk is by far the better scorer and shooter. So what it came down to for me was yet again the personality of the player. Garnett can sometimes be selfish and he would not be able to take a backup role. Dirk, on the other hand, is one of the most humble and respectable players in NBA history. I feel like he would be much more willing to take a backup role than somebody like Garnett. Dirk is also the better player in my opinion, becoming an NBA champion, Finals MVP, regular season MVP, 12-time All-NBA player, along with countless other accolades during his long career. Nowitzki also carried the Mavs to the championship that they won in 2011, while KG needed to team up with 2 future Hall of Famers, but that's neither here nor there. Dirk would also be a better fit for this team alongside other players like LeBron, Wade, and Curry in the lineup. Now for the final spot on the team, there's a lot to choose from when it comes to the backup center. There's Wilt, but as I said earlier, he cared more about his stats than about winning games. Hakeem Olajuwon, Bill Russell, and Moses Malone were all other options as well, but none of them were just quite as good as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who most think of as a top 3 player of all time. I didn't start Kareem as I mentioned earlier because I already had enough scoring on the starting lineup. However, the bench could use some more points, so it was easy to jump on the opportunity to choose the player with the most points in NBA history. Along with that, he also is a 6-time MVP, 6-time champion, and 2 times Finals MVP. No disrespect to any of the other great centers that were left off, but Kareem was a pretty easy pick for this one. So this is what the team looks like after we are finished. Magic Johnson starts at the point guard, MJ at the shooting guard, Bird at the small forward, Duncan at the power forward, and Shaq at the center. The bench consisted of Steph Curry, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Dirk Nowitzki, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There were some tough choices to make when it comes to decisions like who to start, bench, and cut, so you might have a different opinion on who to have on the team than I did. If you do, then we can discuss it in the comments. Other than that, I really hope that you did enjoy this video because I really worked hard on the research and putting it together, which took a very long time to make. If you did, then a share or a subscribe would make our day, but if you're not ready to do that just yet, then we would really appreciate a simple like as well. Anyway, it's been Akhil from Team B Productions, and I'll see you in the next upload.